In this video, I'm going to be swatching, comparing, and reviewing Essie's Serene Slate Collection. This series of Nirvana neutrals will suit any skin tone, and it has an assortment of shades ranging from calming creams to charged up chalky grays. First up is Mindful Meditation, and this is described as an apricot beige nude. This is the kind of color I probably have like 20 bottles of, but every time I get it, I'm so excited for it. I feel like it makes my hands look so clean and fresh. I don't know, it's just like such a modern, clean nail polish. It's like if you want to get a French manicure, but French manicures are kind of like old school, like go for a beige like this. It's beautiful. This applied perfectly in 2 coats, maybe even 1 coat if you apply a thick layer. I give this 5 out of 5 jaunty bottles. So digging into my collection to try to find a similar polish, I have a lot. One of the closest was another Essie one called Lighten the Mood, and in the bottle I thought they were going to be almost identical, but side by side they're not quite. Lighten the Mood is a little bit lighter, but it's in the same family of color, if you know what I mean. I think if you were to add a little more white to Mindful Meditation, it would spot on be that color. Next up, we have Wireless is More, and this is described as a dusty rose quartz pink. And this one has a pretty strong pink shimmer running through it. First coat applied beautifully. It was sheer, especially on my long nails, but the second coat built it up perfectly and made it fully opaque. The pink shimmer is getting lost completely on camera, but in person it was definitely there and it didn't get lost on the nail. I'm not a huge fan of shimmer polishes at the moment. I'm on a cream kick, but this one is super pretty and I love how the shimmer makes the overall color just more dusty and it's just very pretty. Wireless is More gets 5 out of 5 from me. There was one other Essie shade I had called Just the Way You Arctic, which was from the last collection they put out, and it is almost identical to color, like base wise. The base of Wireless is More is so close to Just the Way You Arctic, but it has that shimmer. On the nail, it's a little darker, but I think the shimmer in Wireless is More is what makes it look a little more pink, and if it didn't have it, I'm convinced they'd be the same base color. Moving along is Press Pause, and this is a light gray with a cloudy blue tint. I am obsessed with these colors. I love how it's like white if you were just to glance at your nails, but then you look a little closer and it's definitely not white. It gives you the same feel as white would, like a clean, fresh manicure, but it's off-white, and I just love that. And this one is beautiful. 2 coats, absolutely perfect, which for me has always been hard to find in a light color, and this one was amazing. Also, I think I addressed it in the last Essie collection, but they have completely changed over all of their brushes, so every collection that comes out will have that beautiful wide bristled brush. Once again, we have another 5 out of 5, and when I first got this, I was like, oh, this is a dupe for Kale Polish Sophie. But when I looked at them, they have completely different undertones. Sophie is a little lighter and more of a true neutral gray, and Press Pause has some purple into it, or blue like the description said. And I think that actually makes me like Press Pause a little more than Sophie. Next, we have Serene Slate, the signature polish for the collection, and this is a stone nickel gray. On camera, it's coming off a little more taupey. I think in person it definitely was like a true cement sort of gray and not so warm toned. And Serene Slate was completely opaque in just 1 coat for me. So I was for sure this was going to be a dupe for Chinchilli, but when I looked at them side by side, they're really not at all. Chinchilli has a lot more of that brown taupe hue going on. You can't tell on camera, but it's definitely more brown. Next, we have Tone Down, and this is described as a subdued steel gray cream with smoky cobalt undertones. On camera, this is coming off with a purple hue, and it does definitely take on sort of a purple nature in certain lights, but then off camera and in, I'd say, like shade or artificial light, it has more of a blue gray property. It's very unique, and it's another 1-coater. The closest thing I had in my collection to compare this to is Once Upon a Time by Essie, and side by side they looked really close, but when I applied it to the nail, Once Upon a Time is much lighter and definitely has more of a lilac tint to it. Moving along is On Mute, and this is described as a hushed charcoal gray. This is another shade that I could have a million of in my collection and still buy them when they come out. On Mute applied pretty well in one coat. I stuck with one coat, but then later I saw that there was a little bit of patchiness on my middle nail, so I would opt for a thick one coat or just do 2 thin coats for perfect coverage. One thing to note about this collection, it did seem the grays dried down darker than they were in the bottle, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Like in the bottle, this is a little light, but I love that it dried down darker on my nail for a true charcoal gray. So KL Polish Virgo is almost a dupe for this color. In the bottle, Virgo looks a lot darker, but because On Mute dries darker, they end up looking super close to each other. I think On Mute is still just a tad bit lighter, but they have like the same undertone. Next we have Generation Zen, which is described as a mauve taupe gray, but I think it definitely has a little bit of eggplant in it. This was perfect, one coat again. I'm beginning to feel like a broken record, but I just really love grays, so this collection was a super big hit for me. I did find a dupe in my collection. This is Chronological Order by OPI, and in the bottle you can see they look similar, and even on the nail, yep, they are definitely dupes. So if you have this OPI one, you can totally skip the Essie one. Next we have Cause and Reflect, which is described as an indigo blue pearlized to a silvery perfection. I'm just going to go with their description because I don't even know how to begin to describe this. It is very unique, and I'm not, like I said in the beginning, I'm not a big shimmer person or a metallic person, but I loved this. It's super wearable, and it has almost like a jewel tone property with the like darkening on the edges, but it's like cold and dusty. It's a really nice color, and I definitely didn't have anything like this in my collection. The closest thing I have wasn't close at all. And last but not least, we have Gadget Free, which is a gunmetal gray with a metallic sheen. I feel like the last, I don't know, like 5 Essie collections, they always throw in like a metallic gold or a metallic silver that is just like similar every single time. And I don't hate it, but I just have so many of these types of silvery shades. This one's really nice. It actually has more of a, like, I'm not gonna say purple because it is silver, but it's not super blue toned like a lot of silvers would be. So this one's definitely more unique, but I have so many and it's very common that I'm gonna dock one bottle, but that's still a great polish. So there you have Essie's Serene Slate Collection. Everything in this collection was really good. If you are a fan of grays, you're gonna love this. If you'd like to watch more Essie swatch videos, you can click on your screen here. And as always, thank you so much for stopping by.